Walking into marriage, it's purely choice. It's not slavery.
Slavery. It's the oldest form of slavery. And it is the best form of slavery that there is. It has worked so well to the point where if I say this, you're looking at me like, what the hell are you saying? Slavery in terms of, give me your child, I will buy your child. In fact, let's auction. 1 million, nah, 1.25, come. And when what that automatically does is, I've owned your woman. I've owned your daughter. I will beat the hell out of her, and you won't do anything. Yeah, I paid for her services. Why is she not cleaning? Why is she not cooking? If you look at the slave, and you see the difference, it's little to none.
So you bought the slave.
So it's just like a slave. I am against the institution that programs a certain way to look at marriage. And a lot of people don't see that. So you subconsciously intertwine yourself with this institution without you knowing. You find yourself, even if you don't like cooking, 10 wives around your area, they are cooking. You will go and cook. It is survival. You will find yourself automatically cooking. Women have gone through so much, let me just say, sorry, from marriage. A lot of from marriage. Because it benefits men. And I feel like, like me, if I talk about it, I make a lot of people uncomfortable because how dare you say that? How dare you talk the truth? We don't want to see it. So just shut your mouth and continue with the system. But women, they've just gotten a glimpse of what it's like to have a choice now, which is not even a choice. It's a flickering candle. Don't go down this pipeline, no.
Slavery, really. You see, everything has evolved. Evolution is taking place. And marriage is still part of our system, so marriage has evolved. It started as a social construct. It was for the benefit of this family, these reasons in the society, this and that and that. But it moved from a social contract. It came and it became all about feelings. That's why we say, ile mapenzi ilikuwa na wazazi wetu hatuwezani nayo. And then now, we are calling ourselves the generation of being woke. So now marriage is more about awareness, right? So right now, we are being aware of who we are as a result of this marriage. And first of all, before I even say why there's no slavery here, Hakim was trying to tell us that, was trying to bring in another journey because manhood is a journey. So here you are at a crossroad. Do I get married or do I not? That's a crossroad. I always say that whichever direction you take, life is not going to punish you or reward you for that direction. It will simply unfold in that direction. So when you are at crossroad and thinking to myself, do I get married? Do I become a nun? Well, know that going to become a nun, life will not reward you for being a nun and punish me for getting into marriage. Life will simply unfold in that direction. So if I go in left and he decides to go right and I'm mugged, I'm beaten, I wasn't punished for going left. I simply found those things along the journey that I went to. So when we come to a point where we are deciding the choices that we make, we do not make them because the life will reward us as a result of it. It's because we want to see what will unfold as a result of that. So when it comes to slavery and all that, first of all, I believe that there's no veto power in marriage. And they had already highlighted this. Marriage is more of egalitarianism in the sense that it's not a perfectly balanced ledger. It is more built on the sense of urgency and fairness. So when we get into it, right now I am feeling that the urgency is that this house needs to be cleaned, for example. And then you will do it not because it was cast in stone that you should do it. It is something that either comes to you or it is fair. Because if you say it is slavery, then even our men are being enslaved in fending for us all through. But it is because of the fact that there is fairness there and there is urgency. The power can shift. In marriage, you will face deaths, you will face losses of jobs, you will face so many other different things. Yeah. So when the dynamics change and you're at 20 and the other person is an 80 in whatever, financial, emotional, and all that, then now it comes in as a fairness, urgency kind of shift of power.
You know, you guys don't understand what slavery is. As a student of history, I was taught our people, you know, were taken out of our continent and taken. You remember the transatlantic trade? How were these slaves acquired? One of the, reasons is like the criminals in the society were sold off as, slaves. Do you want to tell me, a fine educated lady who is, to get married is as criminal as the slave that was, sold. Do you want to tell me that? That does not make sense. That does not make sense. Ladies and gentlemen, let's try to use, the brain that God has granted us.
Oh my God. Wait, I feel like equating slavery to only it happened to people who are criminals in our society. I feel like that's a very simplistic way of viewing it.
No.
Slavery is not tied to colonialism only.
No, it's not colonization. I'm trying to say, the concept of slavery. Slavery is a very big word. One, marriage is consensual, mutual, and reciprocity.
Girl.
In slavery, you don't have a choice. You are owned.
No.
What
You are
about the
owned.
things that happen
And then
inside
slavery.
slavery, like the things that happen
I
inside?
think I should be, I should be allowed to speak.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I should be allowed to speak. I should be allowed to speak. I need to debunk all this myth.
Stella.
Because the very ancestors of mine who were dumped at the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Sea because the sea capsized as they were taken to slaves, they will never forgive me if I try to equate slavery to marriage. They will never forgive me. They are turning now in their graves.
We exist in a capitalistic system, and as a result, the marriage institution has created a whole industry. We have psychologists, we have therapists, and all that. It's a whole money-making business. Number two, slavery, because the way it is formed, it is forcing the participants to churn out more members of the workforce. Okay? So even if I wanted to just, be with somebody because I love them, the way the marriage is, it is forcing, it is saying I want another mini you to come and work in these industries. Nobody is going to come. There is no robot, although there is robots these days. Number three, it is slavery because it removes your agency. Like I said, marriage, the way it is crafted as it is, there is no agency of the individual. And that is why I was saying earlier, I support the feminism coming in within marriage. That way, it will enhance agency of the individuals within the institution. Number four, it is slavery because it is against your will. Most of the things that it propagates, slavery is what? You are doing something contrary to vile unataka. So most of the things being propagated are against your will. So those are the four reasons why I think slavery.
The word slave and slavery is so strong that to equate marriage in this day and age with the institution of slavery seems to involve stretching the word and cheapening it in a way that is sort of insulting to the historical injustice of slavery and is also sort of insulting to the fact that there are still a lot of people in slavery today. So if we're going to talk about the fact that there are certain aspects of marriage that involve diminutions of choice that we regard as being unjust today, we should be careful of talking about that without invoking the strong words of slavery. Strictly speaking, I do think the prompt is correct insofar as marriage, historically speaking, was in essence in line with slavery because the woman was essentially purchased from a family and was there to be, if anything, the exclusive property of the man. I know at least within ancient Roman law, there was this notion of the pater familias, which is to say that the man as the head of the home had exclusive dominion over his woman and his children to the point where he would be able to even pronounce execution on them without any sort of legal repercussion. So historically speaking, yes, marriage was a form of slavery that women specifically had to suffer through. But to say that's the case right now involves, I think, stretching the word for rhetorical or metaphorical effect that I don't think we should. Okay, I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't go so far as to castigate people as saying being emotional, as Dino said, but I do think it's a bit of a stretch to say that right now it's slavery. So.
I do agree that slavery it's a very touchy topic, and I honestly cannot equate it to the word marriage, even though I did agree with that to marriage, even though I did agree with the prompt. What I can say rather is that it also depends on the kind of marriage, because there are people, if you've watched Lynn Ngugi, when you listen to their stories, you're like, where? You understand? So it's case specific. There are people who've experienced something perhaps worse than slavery or at the same level of slavery in marriage, but it cannot be a blanket statement of truth.
Yeah. In marriage, you have a say, you can compromise, you can talk to you as much as the man leads. I will never compromise on my principles. The man leads. As much as the woman has all the rights to question him, to ask him for permission. I think that will create a contentious argument here, I know, when she wants to get out. So,
What? Question. To ask for permission to go out.
yeah.
Isn't that slavery?
No?
It's not slavery. It's not slavery. It's not slavery. You know, you see, listen. Do you want me at the wee hour of the night, when I am at home, you know, my spouse, I don't have for now, maybe my spouse in the future, comes home at late, you know, drunk, and you know, how am I supposed to welcome her in?
Welcome, baby.
Welcome. Do you need some water?
Without my vision, how am I
Will you
supposed to welcome
hangover
you?
tomorrow?
You know,
Let me take your
I think
jacket.
My point is, slavery and marriage can never be in the same basket. Marriage is consensual, reciprocity, where you know two parties agree, you know, to lead a good life together. So it doesn't make sense when you say marriage is slavery.
Marriage is consensual. Like he is saying, it is basically you agreeing. So I think the element of slavery here is out, because I tend to believe anybody who goes into a marriage consented to want to be in that marriage. But at the end of it all, I will still say, and Einstein is my person, because how is it that he understood that the only universe we will ever understand is our own? Because, okay, all these things that are happening, they are also coming in at a micro level. All the cultural practices that we are fighting in marriage, all those things, we also have it at a personal level. So the person that you're meeting has their own form of culture, has their own form of traditions and all that. And that is why a friend is like, akikuja kwa nyumba jioni, sasa nifanye. The first question is, how do you feel about it? For example, I felt angry. Why are you angry about it? Because they should have done, Why do you have expectations? You see, because also we go in there with our set norms, cultures, beliefs, and expectations. So anytime your expectations are cut short, then you become rigid to adaptability, because, okay, now they have done this, they have gone out, they have done this, but who am I as a result of a drunk spouse, an insultive spouse, you see? Because the minute you try to resolve what is outside of you, they may not be in the same headspace that you're in. They may not even want to resolve that issue. So it still remains a you problem, a personal problem, an individual problem. So yes, we will still go on with, yes, the cultures are coming in, they are harming us, the slavery is there or is not there, but it is now a point of we are already woke. We are already people who are aware. Okay, I have faced, that is patriarchy I've faced. That is a bit of slavery I've faced. But then what will you be as a result of it? Will you acknowledge that I had the expectation I will not be treated like this and they have been cut short, so what do I do now? So at the end of it all, it is still, the resolves are with you. And I would, in 30 seconds, just say that at the end of it all, we are saying we want to get married to intelligent people. At least we should know what are some of the things that would come with a person who is packaged as an intelligent. You see, if somebody comes with a problem like that of coming late, and we are focusing on the problem instead of focusing on a solution, then it means, one, I have married a person who is not problem-oriented. Solution-oriented. They are more of a problem-focused person. Already you're seeing what you're getting into. Yes, this is the problem, but we can dwell there. Kwa gari ime break down. Unaona nilikuambia sasa, that is you focusing on the problem. Immediately somebody should have stepped in and said, okay, the solution should be this and this. So you're seeing the identities, adaptability. It has happened like this, or they have changed like this. How adaptable am I, or how rigid am I? But at the end of it all, humility. Because marriage is there to humble us and to know that so long as we're not making our unconscious mind conscious, we will still say that it is the one that is directing our fate. We are still saying this, but if we make it our conscious, then we will know it is our fears that are coming into play now, our expectations, our worries, our insecurities are playing in there, the cards, all those things. So it is good to thrust all that you are to the forefront so that you see where you are handling marriage the way you are handling it. Thank you.
All right, that's a perfect way to close this off.